Jackie, Jackie Beere. She's the author of the program, and she is also a tutor on the Raising Attainment with Wellbeing program. She's a coach on that as well, which you've done, isn't it?
Yes.
And also in attendance is Catherine, one of our colleagues. So, we've only got half an hour, so I suggest that we just ask.
I'll get a report for a child who's Islamic. Okay. Oh, we were mean. We are. Sorry, I'm just talking. It was what Kim wanted us to do next. Am I supposed to be on that?
Is she joining us, Jacqueline?
I'm just sorting something out. I'll be 1 second.
So Howard, do you just want me to?
Yeah, I'm not sure Jacqueline's ready yet.
Sorry, that was my other DSL, and where we've got a line manager meeting at the moment, which is why I thought it would be a good idea, but she's just been pulled out to find a report, and she'll be back in a bit.
Oh, shall we wait for her then?
No. I said we'll go ahead, and I'll take notes, and she can join in.
Okay. Well, we're recording this session anyway, so we can send it to you.
Oh, good.
Okay. But this is Jackie anyway. She's the author of the program.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
You go ahead then, Jackie.
Yeah, so if you've done Raw, and obviously I've done Raw and been a coach on Raw. When I was the reason that I created the peer coaching program was because I felt that it's such a fantastic follow-up for Raw, because Raw was all about obviously well-being, mental health. Well, my program in peer coaching, the idea of it is that it's a sort of creating that culture of allies. You know, the idea that we can introduce a peer coaching program where not only teachers coach each other and have coaching conversations with each other, but students do as well in the long term. It's a journey that begins with everybody understanding what coaching is, that it's a conversation, and that we use a sort of simple model that's it's a 10-minute coaching conversation model. And when people experience that, they realize how powerful it is to have somebody deeply listening and feeding back and mirroring your thoughts, so that you can actually come up with your own solutions and own your own progress and solutions. And so I suppose my idea, and keeping it as simple as possible, because I found Raw a huge program, absolutely huge, lots and lots of things. I tried to keep my program simple. It's a journey that you start off with a culture audit, thinking, right, where are we? Where do we want to begin this journey? And then it travels through the whole idea of everybody, including, if possible, your TAs, your admin staff, everybody understanding what a coaching conversation is and how it works and how it can help you with your mental health, with your progress, with your self-esteem, with your relationships, especially relationships with the kids, relationships with the staff, all those sorts of things. And then once everybody sort of understands that, there'll be some people on your staff who will be massively enthusiastic about, oh, I love this is right up my street, you know, can I be the sort of dream team, the coaching pilots? And that group of people then actually begin that setting up that coaching forum. And on that those people coach each other and deepen their understanding of coaching, coach each other, and then roll that out to the rest of your staff. So over the course of the year, over the course of a term, they would be coaching each other, then they'd be rolling it out to other staff. And there's many staff that want to be coached and have a peer coach. Doesn't matter, it's not hierarchical. So it could be that I've been coached by an NQT and found it massively interesting. I've been coached by TA, and I've coached TAs, and I've coached because I was a head teacher myself, so I absolutely know what the pressures are on time and on staffing issues. And so what I've found about coaching myself, no, I am a coach, and I coach head teachers internationally at the moment, that I really think this can bring to our schools some answers about well-being, about progress, about students understanding themselves, having face-to-face conversations. So I suppose the journey that you're on would eventually lead to everybody's having those coaching conversations almost like naturally, but they're built in to your appraisal performance management systems as well. So we have a coaching diary that we keep track of all our coaching conversations, and then eventually your coaching pilots, your coaching champions, if you like, they lead it for the students as well. And so then we get maybe I don't know, is your school all 11 to 18?
Yes.
Yeah. Then we get sixth formers volunteering to be coaches and maybe coaching year 11s, and then year 11s maybe coaching year 9s. And kids are really, really good at this. And it sort of is an antidote to social media, to all the sort of phone addiction that we have, that kids have, because they're actually having a face-to-face conversation with each other. And it's just so powerful and so wonderful to see when students realize they don't have to believe their thoughts. Because that's really what coaching is about. It's about understanding that we don't have to believe the things that come into our heads that undermine us, that disempower us, that we can actually have a different perspective. We can reframe it. We can think of it in a different way. And that's what I would call cognitive flexibility. And that's the way to mental health, mental fitness, which is what we all want. So I've dribbled on a bit, Jacqueline. So I'm just going to say that, have you got any questions for me that you'd like to ask?
Well, no, it was quite funny because we have had a few pupils recently, and we were talking about coaching and mentoring, and sort of what came up is um, teachers don't know where to start with the conversations, and they feel a bit, what do I do? I don't really know if I can be a coach. I don't know what to say. And then we'd asked a student would they consider it, and his first thing was, but I don't know if I'd be good at it, and I don't know where to start or how to start. Or
Yeah, and that's why I use on my program, there's loads of resources and there's videos explaining everything, but using a very simple structured model. And the model I use is Stride, but you can use Grow. There's lots of different coaching models, but my one I use is Stride, which is starts off with you ask that simple question, which is what's been your best moment of the week. You get them in a good mind place. What's been your highlight of today. And you get them in, and that's the first part of the Stride model, is to actually just tune them into, yeah, well, actually, I had a really good lesson in English today, or got through to that child, and it was just a wonderful moment. And immediately they're ready for the next question, which, well, what is it? What small thing would you like? Which is your next thing, is your target. What's the small thing that you'd like to work on today in our session? What's been bugging you and you haven't been able to resolve over the last few weeks, months, whatever. And so then you sort of talk about a target, and then it's the reality check. So it's very structured, and in the program you've got all the questions, lists of questions that fit with each section of the Stride model. And the whole point of the Stride model is it's like a set, when I do it as in training, people work on it for 7 minutes, and in 7 minutes they say, I cannot believe that I've got a different perspective in 7 minutes. So the next one after the target's the reality, and then it's ideas for tackling this, which you can sort of bounce off each other a bit. But I must say that obviously coaching is very different to mentoring. Mentoring suggests advice and a sort of somebody mentoring you who knows more than you. Whereas coaching, as I said, it can be that somebody can coach you who is further, you know, less experienced than admin person, because everybody, every human being is capable of asking brilliant questions that just hold up a mirror to your thinking. And the trouble with mentoring, and I've been a mentor, and I'm sure you have, we all have at some point, you're always, because we're quite controllers as teachers, we're always saying, oh, why don't you do it like this? Why don't you do it like this? Why don't you do it like this? And actually what we want is people to own their own change, their own growth, their own progress. And actually, when you just ask the question, well, how would you feel about trying this out? Then you get people to sort of own it, and then people are much more likely to change and grow and use the, you know, something when they've decided on, and they've owned it. And what I've found as a leader, a school leader, is that we have all these wonderful ideas, and we have all these lists of outstanding teaching and learning, and we have these wonderful sort of policies and practice that we're supposed to do. But the trouble is that we can have them all on paper and we can have them all as part of our policy, but it doesn't always get implemented because everyone is different. And I've had lists of outstanding teaching and learning and gone into a classroom and observed and thought, well, they're sort of ticking the boxes, but it's not really working, because every teacher has to own, and every person has to own their own way of growing and changing and progressing. And it doesn't work with somebody else's way necessarily. And that's the important thing. And on my program, we actually gradually move from a general peer coaching to instructional coaching. I don't know if you've heard of instructional coaching, but it's much more about very specific teaching practice. And so, but that doesn't work if you start that straight away and there's no trust, because no teacher wants someone coming in the classroom and saying, you know, watching and judging and then saying, you don't do this right, you don't do that right, you've got to do this, you've got. Instructional coaching needs to be implemented effectively on the basis of trust and a culture of allies where we're all in this together and we're absolutely supporting each other to get the best teaching habits that work for us. And on my, I've got quite a lot of videos on my program of teachers who've experienced coaching, who've experienced instructional coaching, leaders who've implemented it. So there's videos on there that you can watch and see how it works at some schools, primary and secondary, and students who've experienced it as well, being coached. And because obviously I've trained schools to do this before I implemented and developed the program. And Lisa, one of our coaches, she was the leader in charge of implementing in her school. So she's one of our coaches that actually helps individual schools as they go along the journey as well. So
yeah, that's
think,
really interesting actually, Jackie, because we've brought in sort of last year, instead of people coming in and doing lesson observations, you coming in, it's this coaching, instructional coaching, and we're all sitting there thinking, well, you've made us watch a video for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you've given us some questions that we should ask, but it doesn't feel genuine because nobody knows what they're doing, so the trust actually isn't there. And it's not that you don't trust the person, you don't trust the process, because there is no process.
Exactly, that's exactly it. Because I was a governor at school where they were doing instructional coaching, and I interviewed all the teachers that were experiencing, and some of them are on my program as well, being interviewed. And what I noticed is that it is no, you know, we can, trouble is in teaching, we just jump into these things. Oh, that's my solution. And so really I've devised this whole program around all that experience of seeing what works, what doesn't work, and how we can make coaching a really powerful tool for improving progress as for teachers and for kids, but also understanding how to manage our own self-regulation, because I think self-regulation, both, to be honest, for teachers and for kids, is so important. Since I've been a coach, what I've noticed is that it really helps you in your own life, in your own relationships, as well as the key to teachers managing kids. You know how when teachers manage, some teachers really manage students so well because they help the child, instead of telling the child and mentoring them, they're helping them find their own way. Especially what we want, this is what we want TAs to do, isn't it? Help them be like learning coaches rather than, oh, do it like this or I'll do it for you. We want them to be able to ask brilliant questions, be deep listeners, who then can ask exactly the right question that the child then knows exactly what they've done that is unacceptable or that needs to be different. And the child then says, I get it. Yeah, I think what I should do is this. And that ownership is completely changes behavior problems at schools, because suddenly, you know, kids in your teachers are in the play, they see something going on and they call the kid over, and instead of saying, no, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that. You know, it's like, why do you think I've called you over here? And you know, that almost like, it's a bit like, you know, when a child is given that justice thing, what's it called? Well, you know,
Restorative justice.
yeah, it's a bit like that. It's just accepting the responsibility, thinking through your actions. What could I do differently next time? And then committing to doing that differently next time. And that's what the coaching conversation, the whole structure of it, creates a way of moving forward and having a different approach next time. And when you do that over time, it's so powerful, and it brings together your staff with that whole sense of how we support each other, and then it brings together your staff with how we support the students to move forward and have a belief there's hope. And you know, let's face it, it's a tough world as a teacher now, and as a leader, and as a kid. You know, it really is. So that's why, you know, I think the peer coaching program is something that can inform your, you know, if you say your staff are thinking, well, yeah, we like the idea of coaching, but we're not quite sure what to do. This is exactly what I do in the program. This is what it is. This is why it's great. This is how impact it can have on your psychological well-being. This is the effect it can have, because every time you coach someone, the great thing is you get the coaching as well in your own head. That's what I've discovered. So I'm having this coaching conversation with somebody thinking, God, actually, this is actually helping me too. You know, it's a win-win all the way through. So I'm passionate about it, as you can hear. I'm absolutely passionate about it, and that's why I spent the whole summer creating the program.
Does it help with? We've had questions from the TAs or the LSAs and the SEND department, and obviously with SEND can come a lot of since COVID, a lot of mental health. And they're saying they don't feel that they are experienced or trained, that if they're having a conversation with somebody in the SEND department and it gets to mental health, that they don't feel that they're equipped. So is the sort of that this coaching and the questions that are asked, is it also aimed towards mental health as well as?
Oh, completely. I mean, absolutely spot on, because most, especially in SEND, I mean, I've got an autistic granddaughter who's just started secondary school, and the thing about children who've got you know, that sort of neurodiversity is that we need to give them time to think sometimes. And it's, you know, I've really learned so much from her, because what coaching does, and actually, when I was training in the Isle of Man last week, there was people from the SEND department, and she was so excited. She runs the whole SEND on the Isle of Man, and she was just saying, I'm so excited about this, because this is what's going to make the difference for all our SEND children, because we're learning how to listen and pause and take time and ask the questions and not expect the exact direct answer, but help them to structure their own thinking about their own issues. And so in a way that and I can put you in touch with her if you like, because she was just so excited about this, and she emailed me afterwards and said, oh, I'm just so excited. And she deals with all the SEND problems on the Isle of Man. She felt that this was really something that was going to help all the teachers that deal with the SEND children, because it was a way of actually, to be honest, not reacting. Because what coaching does for you is create a space between your question and you're waiting for the answer. It creates that space between your reaction to an event, if you like. So what we're teaching SEND kids to do is create that space, that breath, that understanding they don't have to react immediately. And that's really helpful for neurodiverse children in my experience with my granddaughter and with other schools that I've worked with. So I actually think that but this is not, Jacqueline, this is not like a quick fix that by Christmas.
No.
This is a committing to something that's going to grow organically across your staff. It's going to, and what will happen is some people will be, I know what it's like as a head. There'll be people, oh, what's this? Another thing. Oh, what would you, it's been on another course, whatever, and it's always like that. And there'll be some naysayers, some cynics, but then you'll get some people that when they experience it are so passionate about it, like I am, and like everyone I know that does it is, they'll sort of think, oh, wow, actually, this is so good for me and my relationships at home. And I always say to teachers, take this home and do it on your husband, your kids, do it on your teenage kids. And they just say, wow, this is training me to be such a good listener and such a good asker of really important questions, and to give myself space in my head before I react to stuff. It's just all that training, but all of that is time. So
the head teacher will want to know a few things, as I've just written down. If I was her, when I go up, she'll say the length of time for the training and the cost and how many staff have to do it. Because at Raw, we had to have 2 staff who'd done it, and then you had to sort of disseminate that out to other staff. And then at the end, we had to do the big presentation. So I'm just wondering sort of the length of time of the training, the cost, and I know that it will grow organically, but is there a number that would have to begin doing it?
In my perfect world, it would be a case of having a training day for everybody to, or even just a briefing or a twilight to say, this is a journey, and obviously all this material is on the program, and then it would be as many people who come forward and would like to be in I've called everything from the dream teams to the coach pilots to the coach champions, a group of people, preferably in a big school. I don't know how big your school is. How many kids have you got in your school? How many staff?
Just over 1,000.
Yeah, so you'd want maybe half a dozen teachers who would then want to go away, and they would do all their training using the program, and they'd watch the videos, look at the materials. They would get a book that is all about the stride model and how to implement it, and then they'd start coaching each other, maybe half a dozen coaching each other, and then gradually they would then coach other people, and then at some point later on, maybe in a term time, then gradually this coaching thing would be spreading. So it's really just a case of a coaching team to start off with. But I'm very happy. I have to go to the hospital now. I'm really sorry, but I have to leave, and I'll leave you with Howard and Catherine. But if you want to talk to me again and ask me any questions, I'm happy to. I'm free the rest of the week. It's just I unfortunately got a hospital appointment I have to go to now. So if there's other questions, Howard can give you my email address, and then you can ask me any questions you like that might come up in the discussions, and you can have a good look at the program. And is there a sort of way of doing that, Howard?
Yeah. We can provide a trial. Yeah. Can I just ask one question before you go? Have you got time or not?
Yeah, I've got a couple of minutes.
What about, does it help with children coaching sent children? I always wondered whether that would be a good model.
I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. I was pushing for that at my my granddaughter's school. I think that having conversations and children understanding each other and knowing that all I've got to do here in this conversation, if I'm paired up with somebody, what I've got to, and they obviously the kids get trained, and I've got all the training materials for the kids. But when I have a conversation with somebody, I understand that my job as a coach is to ask a question. If it's then silent and they need thinking time, that's absolutely fine. And I think that that is so good to think that we can pair up children who might find that then suddenly, I mean, what the research in Spain showed that when they did student coaching, they just approached it to me in the wrong way. They just did student coaching, students coaching each other. They found that incidents of bullying went down, exclusions went down, because every child felt that there was somebody in the school that was their sort of coach buddy, and that it gave in a different year group, because obviously you can do coaching across different year groups, different phases, different needs, as you said, Howard. So it can really build, but this is building on something. This is building after all the teachers understand, you know, what is coaching, how does it work for me, how does it work in my head, so that I can understand how to help children do it well. But I really am going to have to go now.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
I'm so sorry to go, but it just, I have to go to this appointment. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
But lovely to meet you, Jacqueline. And trust me, if you want any more help, I'm happy to help.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, see ya. Okay, well, I can help with any commercial issues.
So the cost, that's what my head will ask. What's the
Yeah,
cost?
it's the same. It's more or less the same as, in fact, I think it's exactly the same as Raw. It's 1,600 with no coaching from us. If you have 8 hours, it's 2,400. And 16 hours, I think, is 3,300. So 16 hours is 3,300, 8 hours is 2,400. And no coaching is 1,600 quid. I mean, Jackie will be, even with the 1,600 quid one, Jackie will be doing monthly webinars. But particularly if you're going to involve children coaching other children, or if you've got a resistant staff, or if you've introduced a program that hasn't quite worked, I would recommend you having at least some coaching from us to get the program established. So yeah, but I mean, we have got schools. The Isle of Man have just put a big cohort of schools onto the program, and they've gone for 3-3. They've gone for 16 hours of coaching. But maybe 8 hours would be good for you. You know.
Yeah, we can have a look. If I can take this and then pass all the information on, and then if I have any questions, I can email you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can put you in touch with Jackie directly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the schools that have done it have seen very profound changes.
Yeah, it seems a good step forward.
I mean, it does take, you'd see some changes in a term. You'd see some changes within the first term, but for the very profound changes, you're looking at, you know, over a year, 2 years.
Are there any schools that have done it we can chat to and see how they've?
I can chat. Yeah, Lisa's school has done it, but she hasn't done it with this program. She did it. She's almost like a disciple of Jackie's, or and she did it prior to the program being launched. This is a new program with the Isle of Man schools being the first. It's only like it was only launched at the end of last term, so the Isle of Man group of schools have been the first group of schools to take it on board, and there's three or four other schools that are just starting. So you'd be in the first group of schools going through the program. But there's lots of schools that have been coached by Jackie that we could put you in touch with.
All right. Well, I'll pass all this on, and then I will email you, because obviously I'm not the one who makes the decision.
Okay.
And then, but
you know, one of the things I think is there any sort of bullying problem in your school? I mean, there is in most schools, isn't there?
Well, yeah, there is in every school.
What I find so attractive about this program is it does offer a rather deep level approach to bullying. And, you know, it says, well, the only way to really combat bullying in the end is to change the relationships and to change the culture of the school. I think it's possibly the most effective. Well, they all the people that do the behaviour hubs and so on, they all say relationships are the most important thing to stop bullying. But this is a structured way of altering the relationships. So I think, yeah, for that alone, it's worth having a bash.
Yeah. Well, I've got to go because I've got another meeting, but I will pass all this on and then I will email you back. And then if you can, we'll be able to chat to Jackie as well. And then we'll come up with a decision as soon as.
Yeah, I think maybe get the head involved with a chat with Jackie next time.
Yeah.
Well, we'll send you a copy. We'll send you a copy of this video anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Lovely to meet you. See ya.
You.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, Catherine. You still there?
Hi there. Yes, I am.
So that was, I think that was reasonably good.
So who was Jackie? Who was Jacqueline?
She's an assistant head.
Assistant head. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the initial lead was from her.
Okay.
They have to go back and get sign off.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think she could have been the Senko. They often initiate a discussion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's fine.